Hi all and welcome to another week of the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. This is now October the 20th, and as you all know, I play music that's prevalent up to the time. And first one, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. Oh boy, you haven't. And the second one, The Winner Takes It All. There's a particular line in that song: the gods may throw a dice, they're as cold as ice. We'll be hearing about those gods later on in the show. I think they underestimated us. But things are moving. I'm waiting for the go-ahead to announce a whole heap of information near the end of the first hour, or perhaps earlier in the second hour. But there's extraordinary things taking place currently, and whilst to one individual, well, two actually, who seem to think I put out sensationalist stuff to boost my profile. I'm not really interested in my profile. All I'm interested in is humanity becoming free of poverty and all the other struggles we have to endure. So if you don't like my version of the show, go somewhere else. As for the people who think it's all bullshittery, again, go somewhere else. Lots of things have been proven on this show, what has been stated. I kind of go out on a limb with the intel, like everything else. Some of it's mine, but some large chunks of it is not, and you're relying on other people. Those people I trust. They've been proven to be correct on many occasions, as you all know, and so I will continue to put out that information until something changes. That something changing may be forthcoming. Right. Apologies for those in Canada who couldn't get the show on YouTube last week. Please go to Spreaker.com and you'll be able to download it from there. Maybe it will be okay this week. Less interference, we'll see. Right, where can we start? We've got quite a mixed bag this evening. The intel will, once I get full approval for all of it, will be later. I'm going to be going into some more of the word magic as well, because this is how they have played us. Probably sometime in the second hour, and then obviously we'll go into the questions. Right, first news item is in the US. Recently this week, thousands of passengers were delayed worldwide after a computer glitch, in inverted commas, temporarily halted departures at United Airlines. Now this is the latest in quite a series of outages to affect rival companies in the industry. This is more fun and games. Some of those incidents, I would suggest, that where they were shut down, were avoiding certain other 9/11 style events. We'll see. So they said it was United Airlines, who of course were prevalent in 9/11, said they had issues with weight reporting system, and that delayed the flights last week, but they resolved the problem by Friday. So there's lots going on with computers and hacking, not just airlines, but government agencies and certain emails and certain financial systems. It's it's working overtime at the moment. So where are we next? Mr. Trump again, and Hillary. More on her later. So Mr. Trump came out last Friday following he was under fire over his treatment of or alleged mistreatment of women, and that the Hillary Clinton campaign and the media are working together to derail his candidacy and to fix the November presidential election. That's a misnomer in itself. It's not a presidential election, it's a corporate selection, but there you go, we all know that. Preaching to the choir there, but it is what it is. But Mr. Trump went on, says we can't let them change the most important election in our lifetimes. And he also told back as an outdoor amphitheatre in North Carolina, this whole thing is one big fix, Mr. Trump. I would repeat that back to him, because you're part of it. It's kind of ironic, his name was Trump means to trick, as in the card game, playing the trump card. We've stated quite clearly, we haven't changed opinion. Trump is there to facilitate Hillary to win the election. That's his sole role, bought and paid for. I know some people don't like that, but even Drake, Drake's been a big advocate of Trump, and kudos for him. He's now corrected that and said Trump is cabal. Well, it is what it is. It's sad for many people that they think someone's an outsider and anyone but the Clintons will do. No, it has to be someone of substance and doing the right thing for this country. And quite frankly, I've only heard snippets. I don't watch it, but I'm not wasting my time on watching utter drivel in debates, or alleged debates. It's all stage managed. And from all accounts, it has been a major source of amusement around the world. That's caused a lot of embarrassment in this country, and not only just in the ordinary people either. So Trump mentioned that the elections are rigged, and the establishment is in control. Absolutely, I agree with him on that. And his final statement, which really should have come in the first debate if he was going to do anything significant, was the Clintons are criminals. They were. Some of them are not alive, are they? But yes, so I agree with Mr. Trump on that. And this is the kind of rhetoric that will give people hope that Trump is there to help them. Oh, he's exposing this and he's exposing that. He's only exposing what you already know. It's all staged, Also, I don't know whether people noticed, but the media, of course, they spent many months trying to initiate a race war, which ultimately failed, despite Mr. Soros's interjection of funds into the Black Lives Matter group, totally funded by Mr. Soros, as warned even in Cosmic Voice, as far back as Cosmic Voice. It's about 5 months now. So now they've turned into a new war, and some of you may have spotted it, or you may notice it now. I mention it, the male and female, Trump male, Clinton female. It's playing out yet again, where they're going to get divide and conquer between two different groups. So whilst it's encouraging that the race division stunt hasn't worked, now they're starting on the male-female slant. Don't fall for it. It's just all part of the media corporate spin. Well, it was. It may not be soon. Then, of course, to support that, you've got the bullshittery to do with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Who really cares what they're doing? It's like the other, retards, the Kardashians. Who cares whether she got stolen from? Woo. Why are we bothered? It's their fun and games. They've all sold the souls out to the devil. Each and every one of them. Just cut them off. It doesn't apply to us, does it? What they're doing. Kardashian goes to the toilet. Ooh, let's all go and trend on that. Not me. So, next news are the King of Thailand. It was announced last week that he died. Except he died months ago. Oops. He's not the only one in that region who died months ago either. A certain rather portly son in another area went months ago as well. But what was significant about the story is his successor, which is his son, has stated to the Thai people that they must wait a year before he gets coronated. There's more to that statement than meets the eye. I would suggest during the year he won't be getting anything. Certainly no title. And he knows, and so do lots of others in that region who think they can play fun and games with certain accounts. Your time is up. Some of them have already been removed. They're going after the elders and the dragons. They got warned enough. They weren't prepared to play fair, where everyone got a piece of the pie. No, they wanted the whole lot. Well, they'll get a whole lot of nothing soon. NatWest, this is a bank in Britain which happens to be a subsidiary of the majority government owned, which the people didn't get a choice for in England, Royal Bank of Scotland. And it's now been made public by the RT's editor-in-chief. The bank has made the final decision to close all of the RT News channel's accounts. Just shut the bank accounts down. Is that not fascism? RT News, whilst is not totally 100%, it does have sufficient of truth in it, and a lot less propaganda than other news outlets, mainly all American ones for a start. And the bank announced they're not prepared to enter into any discussion in relation to it, so they're just telling them we're going to shut all your accounts and goodbye. The UK government, in its part, has recently called for additional sanctions against Russia over Syria and has denied that it's behind NatWest's move. Yeah, and we all believe that, don't we? Nope. The whistleblowing site WikiLeaks, I still haven't had the chance to catch up. You'll understand why once I get the go-ahead. I haven't had a chance to catch up on whether Mr. Assange or Mr. Snowden's still alive, so maybe I'll get that during the show. It's kind of irrelevant that the documents will come out regardless. If it's not them, there's mirror copies dotted all over the planet. We are prepared, unlike that like they think we're not. There's copies of everything now, dotted all over the place, so if certain individuals are removed, others will come forward. So Mr. Assange has played a role, as has Snowden, but they're not the only two. So the Ecuador government, no doubt under threat by certain clones, has told that they had to cut off Julian Assange's internet access on Saturday after another batch of leaked emails from Hillary Clinton's campaign chair was released. Again, so that's Britain blocking people's bank accounts, and Ecuador under threat of the Bush-Clinton thug group telling who can have internet access and who can't. I think it's about time we told them that their access to life should be cut off, never mind internet. Right. I'm kind of rolling through this. Ford Motor Company. Now, we've discussed these before. Of course, they played a role in the dumbing down of the education system in America. The Carnegies, who had the university campus, were training engineers to Tesla level, and the Ford company told them, you will either dumb down that course, or otherwise we'll cut your funding off. This is in 1920s. It worked that well that they rolled it out into the education system in the 30s. Nice company they are. And of course they're talking about moving to Mexico because labour's cheaper. Perhaps a boycott of them, or maybe they'll come back soon if things change. Maybe we shouldn't let them back in. So the Ford Motor Company on Monday said it will shut down production of its best-selling F-150 pickup trucks for a week at Kansas, as basically they're not selling enough, and they're going to make temporarily idle 3 other plants over the next several weeks. This is an ongoing issue where there's that many of the corporate structure companies struggling for finance as there is none. Certain individuals they thought they could pay with fake money, which is now not acceptable in the system. So it's another example that the fun and games of the corporate structure in the corporate world is starting to collapse in on itself. Rest assured it won't be allowed to collapse totally, because the USA will be propped up at all costs to avoid a world shutdown. We've mentioned previous that 85% of all trade is done in dollars. So if the dollar goes down, there goes the world trade. So that will not be allowed to happen, not on our watch. The Asian factions might think they can do that and push their funny money. It won't work, it hasn't worked, and will continue to not work. Right, that's pretty much the news this week. I've been busy with a load of other things. So what I want to cover is some of the word magic whilst I await approval. We've touched on this before about how certain things are said in one way but have a different meaning, and one of the main ones, which was of course familiar to people in America, is united. What does it really mean? Well, uni is single or the one, and ted means to scatter or strew. So united doesn't really mean the all, does it? We're all united together. No. What it really tells you is we're all untied together. Uni, single, one, scatter or strew. So the one scatters or strews the states. This is how they play their word magic. Of course, we've mentioned in previous shows about London and Babylon. And everyone thinks Babylon is a place in Iraq, which it is. But the actual structure of Babylon is not solely based in Iraq. It tends to be transient. So Babylon is like a money magic system. Of course, it transferred from Iraq to London and became Babylon Don. Don means borough, so it's like an area, like a town or a city. So it's Babylon Borough, City of London. This is how they do their stuff. And we've been duped. Of course, we've been duped largely by the Latin system, which is a reptilian language, I might add. Of course, it's wrapped up into medical, and we've all been stiffed with that so-called Medici. That's where the term medicine came from. Medici being one of the black nobility families, the fun and games people. So the next thing I want you to understand is there's a rather popular hymn in the UK, and I'm going to read it out because it may explain some of the biblical stuff, or what is termed biblical stuff. And the opening line, the hymn is called Jerusalem, which is another transient item. And the song goes, "And did those feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green? And was the holy Lamb of God on England's pleasant pastures seen?" So if Jerusalem is in the Middle East, why are they talking about it being in England? Why is the Lamb of God in England? Who is the Lamb of God? Is it just referring to the people, the sheep? Who knows? And the next line, "And did the countenance divine shine forth upon our clouded hills?" And this is the key line. "And was Jerusalem builded here among those dark satanic mills?" And so what they're telling you, Jerusalem was actually built in England among the dark, why use that word, satanic mills? It goes on further, "Bring me my bow of burning gold, bring me my arrows of desire, bring me my spear, O clouds unfold." That's almost reminiscent of an E.T. battle. "Bring me my chariot of fire." Again, the people in the East and India talk about chariots of fire being the Vimana. And the next line, "I will not cease from mental fight." Now, this is currently what we're in. A psychological war of the mind. Not for the mind, of the mind. I'll explain more on that later. "Nor shall my sword sleep in my hand till we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land." So why is this hymn telling you that Jerusalem is built in England's green and pleasant land if it's in the Middle East? Well, quite clearly it's maybe Jerusalem, like Babylon, is transient, and maybe Jerusalem is a system like Babylon. Bear in mind, back in 1919, under the Balfour Declaration, it was Britain who forced the agreement to create the land of Israel during that meeting. So this was 1919, roughly, 27, 28 years before Israel, which is Isis, Ra, El. Isis, Ra, and El being God, was created on Palestinian land, which is under the control of England. So in other words, it's divide and conquer again, like they did with Iraq. They split it up into 3 or 4 regions, saying it was along the lines of religious. No, it's not. It's along the lines of divide and conquer, top and bottom. So that's a rather interesting. I'm just getting some word. Right. Lost my place now. So, where do these words come from? United States. It started from 1617, originally with reference to Holland. This goes into the Dutch kings, which were part of the Vikings, which is the 6 kings, not the Vikings, the 6 kings, VI kings. Of course, the North American Confederation started in 1776. United Provinces were the 7th northern provinces of the Netherlands, allied from the 1579, which later was developed into the Kingdom of Holland. I'll have more on kingdoms as to why it suggests it's male when their countries are known by the female term. So that's where the United States came from. Holland interfered, has interfered in British rule over a long period of time. It was the Dutch who attacked Ireland at the request of Britain. It's all staged, and set up the fake war between the Catholics and Protestants. It's all about control again. So it was the Battle of the Boyne, and the King William of Orange then became, Orange meaning Dutch, then became King of England. So it's just another kings and queens merry-go-round like they normally do. So we mentioned before, the Dutch, Danish, Swedish and Germany were all part of the Nazi group originally. Were also part of the Vril. We're all called fatherland, when all other countries are called the motherland or in the female, like United Kingdom, and the Kingdom of Israel suggests its king being male, but Britain is called she. You know, kingdom just means king domain, so the king has domain or reigns over the people. United, as mentioned earlier, means untied. So that's where that comes from. So this is a secular meaning pertaining to a covenant or a treaty in the 1650s led to political sense formed by agreement amongst independent states in 1707, and from the use of the word federal union, this is to do with the federal, and union based on a treaty. So this is where the federal term came from, pertaining to a covenant or a treaty. Well, I don't remember us signing any treaty or covenant that would put them in the US, and neither did any other country for that matter. So in 1776 through to 1787, unlike phrases And also from this period in US history comes the sense favouring the central government. 1788, so 12 years after. And and the special use of the word as opposed to confederate to mean a state in which the federal authority is independent from component parts within its legitimate sphere of action. And that was used from 1861 in reference to the Northern forces in the American Civil War. Next part, Semite. Lots of people are called anti-Semitic. Some people who are Semites are labelled anti-Semitic, which is kind of ironic in many ways. But the term Semite originated in 1847, and it meant a Jew, Arab, Assyrian or Aramaean, and apparently came isolated from use in the 1797s and referred to the Semitic language group. You've got people who are Arab being accused of being anti-Semite. Are they anti themselves? So it's not necessarily pertaining to one group, i.e. the Jews. Jesuit is another one. Started in the 1540s from modern Latin Jesuita, a member of the Society of Jesu, not Jesus, Jesu, founded in 1533 by Ignatius Loyola to combat Protestantism. Now, we've mentioned this before, that a Protestant is not a religion. It's a movement. It was a freedom movement against the Catholic Church. It then morphed into religion for the next part of a plan, which was the destruction of Ireland and their history. Then to split up the UK also. So their enemies in both Catholic and Protestant lands accused them of belief that ends justifies the means, hence the sense a crafty or dissembling person. That was in the 1630s. It hasn't really changed, the definition of Jesuit, or some of them anyway. The Jesuit, deceitful, designing and insinuating, was 1610. There's no word beginning with J that is of Old English derivation. In other words, the letter J didn't come in until somewhere between the 16th and the 19th century. So all those names beforehand were not correct. All those letter J's. You know, you go through the biblical names, they're not the real names. So why, if these people are so important, why did they change their name? So it says here, English dictionaries did not distinguish words beginning in I and J until the 19th century, and J formally was skipped when letters were used to express serial order. Next one. Sheep. I mentioned this before. Sheep are also known by another name. And here's your play on words. U. E-W-E. A term for sheep. So the sheep are you. That's how they like to play with their words. So that means us. Of course, what they also do with the sheep is fleece. That's exactly what they do to us. They fleece us of everything because they think we're the sheep. You are the sheep, so we will fleece you. Now, according to a famous nursery rhyme, Mary had a little lamb. How can Mary have a little lamb? So what are we trying to say here? Why do they keep using this term lamb? So if Mary had a little lamb and she also had an immaculate conception, she's quite some extraordinary woman, to be quite honest. Or there's something else at play here. It's like the image of the wolf in sheep's clothing was in Old English, that of separating the sheep from the goats. Not the wheat from the chaff, the sheep from the goats. Of course, the people are familiar with the goats, or a certain goat that goes by the name of the Baphomet. Next one. How are we doing for time? Idol. This started in the mid-13th century. The image of a deity as an object of pagan worship, from Old French idol, graven image, pagan god. From the Latin idolum, image, mental or physical form. Make of that what you will. Idol, an image of mental or physical form, especially apparition, ghost, but used in church Latin for false god. So when we say we have idols, we're worshipping or looking up to false gods. The image of a pagan deity as an object of worship. This is from the Greek eidolon, mental image, apparition, phantom. Material image and statue was later. In ecclesiastical Greek, a pagan idol from eidos, form, shape, likeness and resemblance. So perhaps we shouldn't be having idols anymore. Dagon, the god of the Philistines. Now people will be, some of them in the UFO community will be familiar with the Dogon. They called them the fish people. That came down from the Sirius system and told them about Sirius being a 3-sun system. And yet at the time, in 1926, astronomers then only could see one. They even drew the diagram of how the 3 suns orbited. So someone must have told them. You know, this is people in Mali. You know, they've barely got brick. They haven't even got houses, never mind telescopes. And yet they knew the Sirius star system was A, B and C, and its orbit in 1926. So is it not ironic that Dagon is the god of the Philistines? From Hebrew, Dagon. From Dag, fish. Fish people. Exactly what the Dagon people were telling you. Here's another name that came up, and as part of a question tonight, maybe this answers it. Asgard. Now there's been references of some sort of space station in Earth orbit. Maybe we need to look at that as to exactly what it is and who's inhabiting it. Anyway, Asgard, home of the gods, yes again, that word again, in Norse religion, from Old Norse, Asgard. Pretty much right, that really, Asgard. Which is related to Old English os, Gothic Angard, and Essia, and Old Norse Garor, which means enclosure, yard or garden. Well, I'm not too sure whether I want to be going in that enclosure in the current environment. I would like to, and I have a feeling I will be going in a certain object in the near future, but not perhaps that one. I'm not too sure that that's another harvesting trap that we've heard so often with the Andromeda Council and a few others mentioning going on biospheres, which were harvesting plants for humans. We were on the menu, so you won't be getting steak and chips. You'll be getting eaten on them, but thankfully they've all been removed. Right, it's 10:02, and so I hope you found that of interest. Other questions that can come up from me. Oh, here's one more. Is people often talk about we're in the Fourth Reich. It's actually the Fifth. It won't prevail. Fourth was to take over America. It's already been done. But the Fifth will not come to fruition. Well, here's a question for you. What happened to the first two Reichs? Why did it start at three? You know? And this one's going to get controversial. Just a word of warning. I love all women, so don't please accuse me of being sexist or being misogynist and all that rubbish. But the term mother first came to fruition in the 14th century. Mother Nature was the first attested to in the 1600s, and Mother Earth is from 1580s. The mother tongue, one's native language, was late 14th century. So why do we have terms that go back 2,000 years mentioning mother if it wasn't in the dictionary or the language until the 14th century? This is the same time. Something happened on this planet in the 14th century. Everything got changed. The education system got changed. They decided they would ban witches. They decided they would ban scientists or shut them up. And all kinds of references and names got ushered in that were not prevalent 1400 years previously, or they're stating they were prevalent 1400 years previously. All the names, Jerusalem, Jesus, Job, John, you know, it's not their real name, not in the way they spelt it in the book. You know, this was all allegedly done in the Middle East. So why have they got all English names? Peter, John, Matthew, Thomas. I don't see those names being familiar in the Middle East. There'll be a derivative of it, but it's not how it's written in the book. Now, here's where some people are going to flip. Matrix first came into the dictionary or into the public in the 14th century. Yet again, 14th century. It means uterus, womb, from the Old French matrice, womb, uterus, from Latin matrix, genitive matrices, pregnant animal, in late Latin, womb, also, source origin from mater, which is mother, and a sense of place or medium where something is developed is first recorded in the 1550s, a sense of embedding or enclosing mass. First recorded in the 1640s. Logical sense of array of possible combinations of truth values is attested from 1914 and as a verb from 1951. So the term matrix is a female term. Some people won't like that, but that plays into the female Illuminati that we've been discussing previously. You know, is it matrix, as in mother tricks, or is it matter, as in mother, ix, meaning 9, mother of 9? Who knows? But it says a sense of place or medium where something is developed, and a sense of embedding or enclosing mass. In other words, they're embedding or enclosing us inside the female matrix. Mr. Tsarian will be pleased at that explanation. Some of the women might not be, but the evidence is stacking up. You know, with even the Nazi group, where or the bad elements of them were dealing with the Aldebrands and the Vril, who were all women, and the parents. The list goes on, because I know it's gonna. I don't want it to be divisive, but if this is the truth, that we've been living in a matriarchal, not a patriarchal society, it needs to be outed. Not so we can go to a male-dominated. Absolutely not. We need to go and return to a balance, a total balance. We've both got male and female aspects of us. Some people might not like that, but it's fact. We've both got male and female parts of the brain. We've also got reptilian, and that's an issue. You've all heard the term. This is something else for you to consider that came to me this week. I'm losing my mind. Now, as long as if you lose your mind, as long as you don't jump to the gut, aka gut instinct, losing your mind is of value, as long as you go into the heart. You cut off your mind and operate within and from the heart, everything's done. So I encourage everybody to lose their mind. All that chatter in your head is the reptilian part. That's why it's important to meditate and shut it out. You know, we don't need talking lizards in our head. So let's get rid of them, and yes, let's lose our minds and let's operate from the heart. Something else for you all to ponder over there. It's funny how everything is backwards, everything's upside down, as they say. And I hope that was interesting. It's probably will encourage debate. Right, we're going to have a music break now, and we're going to be coming back with some rather interesting intel. This one's will play into what's coming up, I might add. This is kind of funny. Bye for now. Hi all, and welcome back to the second hour. Right, where do I start? There's been some extraordinary things going on behind the scenes this week, particularly in the last 24 hours. I would have liked I've said a lot more, but we have to be safe in what we're saying. Certain people are kind of under a lot of threat with a lot of information that's coming out, and so we have to keep both them safe and also myself. So there will be some intel that I can tell you, not as much as we would have liked, but it gives you an indication if you read between the lines. I know some of you don't like that. So following the debate, there was an announcement that Hillary was not human. I think, but this is my opinion now. You know, anyone who has a forehead that big and it looks like an ice rink at 60 odd years of age, you're not fooling anyone. Like I said earlier, that debate caused ructions around the world, a lot of hilarity around the world, and much embarrassment within these shows. If these are the best that 300 plus American people has to offer, we're in a very, very sorry state. Because like I said, I don't watch it. I think it's utter drivel. But reviewing a small portion of the comments made between each other, is that how we are prepared to accept being portrayed to the rest of the world? Two criminals arguing with each other. Well, you interfered with this kid, and well, your husband interferes with this kid. Is that how we want to be seen? Well, your business didn't pay anyone. Well, your business hasn't paid Haiti. Hasn't paid the whole heap of people, not just Haiti. So, given that certain information came out, and there was a comment by certain cabal structure that came out behind the scenes, that was dispensed to all and sundry, that basically called the entire military and government slaves, and they are there at our beck and call. Really? Now, the object for them is to put Hillary, who's not real, not alive, but somebody posted a question of a twin. Has Hillary got a twin? Yes, the name's Anne. Android. Is that what we want as our president, in inverted commas? Clone. It's getting into a very dangerous thing over consent. Think about that, where it leads to. So this led to discussions that I got involved with, which then went on to higher levels, and the meetings are still ongoing, and you need to listen carefully to this next portion. Extraordinary high level officials are in meetings now. They have been pretty much since straight after the last night's debate, or debacle, to put it bluntly. There is also high-level meetings going on in China regarding their own country. Now, we've mentioned previous that the Chinese government have had enough of the bogus elders and bogus reptilian-led dragon groups, all of them. Whether people at the lower end are aware of that has become irrelevant. If you're still connected with those dragon and elders, you will pay a price. It's as simple as that. Now, many things were discussed in the meeting to do with many trust accounts, many things that were bogus, i.e. Chinese elders, which definitive proof was shown to the high-level people. They're under no illusions anymore who's playing the game, and under no illusions that they are a pawn in the game. Time to tip their chessboard up and play our own game, basically was the call. So the details of all that took place in that meeting, many things were discussed. Some I've just told you, some has to remain hidden for now. But China were one of 84 locations who received the full information from that extraordinary meeting. Now, they also have seen some of the accounts that were referred to in their own central bank and HSBC, which they thought belonged to the Dragon family elders. Sorry, but that's bullshittery. We've been saying it long enough, and now the governments know. Oops. So they've now seen with their own eyes that those accounts do not belong to any family of elders, be it Chinese or anybody else. It belongs to the people, stolen off the people. We're the trust funds. And as of now, this is within the last 5-10 minutes, we are awaiting further word over the next week as to the outcome both in China and America. As part of the high-level meetings, the Pentagon and the intelligence agencies are looking for ways to secure the in-ground assets in the United States held under the BLM as well as oil. Now, there's a lot of gold underground, and this is a side issue. What was unbeknown to me until recently is there's gold dotted up. I've mentioned about gold being in certain vaults, but gold has a far significant importance to this planet. If certain gold is mined or removed from the ground, this whole planet will go off its orbit. So stringent measures will be put in place to totally secure those points of interest forever. So there's no more interfering. Now the factions are trying to stake a claim and ownership and of the BLM gold and oil, but the government, the United States of America government, not US, now knows different. They now know, have been shown definitive proof what we've been saying on this show all along. All these people are bogus. They have fictitious corporations, fictitious names, fictitious towns, and all this malarkey, all under this so-called trust fund. It's all mirror tech, mirror money magic. So what will take place now is likely a whole heap of extraordinary events. I'm not going to detail them because that is still ongoing. But some of the good news is an army of corporation of engineers, in cooperation with other Pentagon officials, have come up with a plan to create an aquifer which will run throughout the United States of America using new, innovative technology. The aquifer will run water from the ocean to desalination plants throughout the country, so there'll be no more weather wars and fun and games and people struggling not to have any water. Whoever's pulling the strings in California, Mr. Nestle man, humans don't have right to water. You don't have a right to life, mate. Go and take a run and jump. Maybe you can find the edge of flat earth and jump off it. So this aquifer will permanently solve all tap water issues in the country, to include places like Flint and Mississippi and California. It will also eradicate fluoride in the water. Gone. There is also talk about running high-speed rail over the top of the aquifers, i.e. maglev trains. I think we may find some of them are already operational. Maybe we'll just extend the tunnels. I know some of them got taken out in 2013, but I'm not too sure how many there are now. Now, both of these projects are to be run by the Pentagon infrastructure specialists. They'll be also securing both projects to ensure there is no faction interference. So in case you all thought, oh, is this going to be another Halliburton fun and games? No. They will not, as I understand, will not be inclusive. And the other dodgy contractors. Both projects have already been endorsed by the Obama administration. He is aware of what's going on. This will be the largest infrastructure project America has seen in almost 100 years. A further cooperative effort between scientists from Russia and America have been collaborating with the UPU on a massive ocean cleanup project which will occur using natural bacteria and plankton. Rest assured, there is also an aquatic race who's been here a few years clearing up the oceans as well, and it's going rather well. The militaries of the world will be responsible for, I'll repeat that again, the militaries of the world will be responsible for delivering the appropriate amount of these materials and restore the balance of our oceans and fresh water. Previous races have interfered and made our water salty. There was much more of a freshwater to saltwater balance than there is now. It's the reversed. Of course, we can't drink salt water, it makes us sick. Maybe other certain bug-eyed beings can. Perhaps Mr. Parks can ask them to give us our water back. So there will be a restoration of living water, as described in previous shows. Our water is special. It's not dead, it's a living entity as such. Restoring living water to the planet will increase the oxygen levels, which will not help the reptilians by, and also resolve ozone layer problems. Now, since there will be no World War III, as stated on this show many times, there are to be ongoing projects and programs for the militaries of the world to participate in clean-up operations beneficial to us all. Clean water, military waste clean-up, and all these will come under matters of security. So it seems, from my point of view, the militaries are stepping down and are going to help humanity. I don't want to add much further because I have to be rather careful. I do like my head on my shoulders. But at this point, we are hoping before November the 8th there will be a complete change. This is currently under discussion at all the high-level meetings. That kind of sums up where we're at. There is more to it, like I said, but I think that's enough for people to gauge what is ongoing. Certain things take place and certain control is returned, then I would speculate we would have a return to our organic constitution, and all the other fun and games, treaties and certain legal parameters will disappear. So I'm expecting, I've said this now for a number of weeks, the intel is increasing by the week. That's the way it's going to be. You may find it will increase by the day or every couple of days. If I can fit in other shows, I will do so. I will keep you all informed as much as possible. That keeps things safe for everybody. An awful lot of pissed off people currently. They don't like it back in their face. Well, they can suck it up. We've had to endure the bullshittery for far too long, and it's a case of seeing where we're going from here. I think I'm going to play a song before we go into some questions, because this is really where we're at. Right, that was kind of an unscheduled music break, but I hope you got the gist of what was being said in there. It's not, like I said, it's not as much as I would like to say, but we have to be careful. But we're still waiting on the outcome of how or what is going to take place during the meetings. If we get some during the show, I will out it, or whenever it's safe to do so. But another part of the fun and games is you'll find this funny. I do. Some of the cabal member accounts has been stolen by the very baroque cabal bosses, and this includes the owners of media, as in CNN and all that lot, and whatever other garbage they put on TV, and other large companies. And the same faction is also stealing money from the American government. They will be dealt with. And rather swiftly. So I think that's hilarious. The cabal are having their accounts stolen by their bosses. Oh my word. We've spoken about this in recent weeks. I know it gets frustrating and people turn around and says, when's the fat lady going to sing? It's singing loud and clear. Yes, we all want a public event, but we have to be careful of what type of public event it's going to be. What we want is a smooth transition and an announcement, rather than chaos and fairly widespread disruption. So, but it's another sign of the sheer desperation of the cabal that they're even stealing from the accounts of their own members. Not just ordinary people either, whole conglomerates. And keep doing that, and they may find that a whole raft of more cabal members will step out and come and help us. Then we can end it quicker. Right, we're going to go into some questions. But questions may not seem appropriate with all that's going on. In addition, we were talking about earlier about the gods and the matrix and the definition of idol and Jesuit and Semite and United States and other, and where all that come from. From that same book, this is a quote, and it's something that may be prevalent in the coming times. The existence of a world without God seems to me less absurd than the presence of a God existing in all his perfection, creating an imperfect man in order to make him run the risk of hell. Something worth considering. So, questions: does Hillary have a twin that has been kept secret? Yes, her name is Anne, Android. So I hope you find that was amusing, as I did. I don't find Hillary amusing. You know, it's, I remember as a kid watching Plastic Dummies performing as acts on the street with strings. We seem to have come a long way from Punch and Judy. But, Punch and Judy were in the debate last night, except one of them was not real. Good question. How we'll be able to make this transition when half of our brain is reptilian? It's not half. It's up to you how you control it. You have enough, if not more, neurotransmitters in the heart than you do the brain. Certainly the equivalent of. So, as mentioned earlier, if you are losing your mind, that is actually a good thing, because the mind is operated by the reptilian cortex. What you have to do then is operate in the heart. If you are struggling to control the chatter in the brain, that it's not beneficial to you, shut it out. Go and meditate. Go and ground, go and center, go and shield. You know, Chloe did a load of documents that are available in the files on the Facebook page. I'm sure it's out on the web somewhere, if you're not on the Facebook group. If you can't get rid of the chatter, use when I first learned how to do it, I don't need the music anymore. I can just go into the state. The more you practice, you know, some people pick it up fairly quickly and some don't. You know, it's just the way the individual operates. If you use I use the solfeggio beats and the binaural beats. That then drowns out the chatter. Once you drown that out, you can train your brain to shut it out. You can then train it to not need the music. If you reduce the music, instead of 15 minutes, to reduce it down to 10, down to 5, down to 4, 3, 2, 1, and then none. Just go into that state. Your brain, you're basically training your brain to go into a state. That's what meditation's about. Then you merge it with the heart. Once you've shut the mind out and the reptilian chatter, merge it with the heart, no lower. Being in the gut is not good either. Cobra mentioned recently about the implants being in the lower 3 chakras, which stops at the gut. So then you've got a blockage from the gut, which is stopping you going higher up the chakras, and a blockage at the brain or the mind. Shut the two of them out and operate in the heart. Do I have any info on Lola, the creative AI that had access to Lisa Harrison's computer? No. I don't know. Lola. I've heard some names now. I would suggest that it's something else, and something's playing fun and games. Maybe Lisa's partly to blame for that, with being and doing bullshittery and OPPT. Who knows? Why is Max Spear's death back in the news feeds? Because for some reason or other they decided to put it out in the mainstream newspapers. I've made it quite clear on this show, I will not speculate. I have asked others not to speculate. There's a whole raft of rumours, and those rumours are best kept to yourself. Do not go on forums discussing it. There's some very, very dangerous people on those forums, and it's best avoided. There's some programs, there's some magic people, and some very negative entities taking place surrounding that news item. It's best avoided. What is going on with WikiLeaks? I think we covered that earlier. Is it possible Julian Assange and WikiLeaks are now being used to bring the election into total chaos? No, it's already in total chaos, because you've got two clowns pretending to debate, more like rant at each other, from what I gather. And is WikiLeaks bringing down one of the candidates? After all, she's dead, and they need to tie up that loose end, which in turn will cancel next month's pantomime. I am of the understanding that she has to go in. That makes them... No, I won't say anymore. I'll leave it at that. But voting for a piece of plastic is not my idea of anything, really. Thomas, what do you think of the big news? Asgardia, is this an SSP program? I would say, as it stands now, I'm not too sure on this. You know, as I said earlier, Asgard is the derivative of more gods, false gods. And this is the Norse god, as in ass god. You know, maybe it is what it is, a load of ass. So it's a case of wait and see. If certain changes are made, I only saw the draft of it, then why not? You know, if some people want to choose to have that experience, then why not? But I would suggest it's a lot further down the line than perhaps it was being suggested in the article, because we don't need it to go on any SS, as in Nazi space program, or any aircraft. All the focus is on Clinton and Trump, even in the alternative media. What do you have to say about Johnson and Stein or Steen? Well, I've mentioned previous, I don't know anything about Johnson, to be quite honest, only that I see snippets on the internet. I don't follow it because it's all drivel. But I've seen a couple of comments or statements and a small excerpt of Jill Stein, or Stein, whichever way you want to pronounce it. She's kind of calling for the stuff that the people in the alternative media are calling for. Investigation of 9/11, audit of the Fed, IRS. So that's just off the top of my head, and there was one or two others. So that sounds to me more like a candidate, whereas she's got other hidden agendas and it's all wrapped up. Remains to be seen, as I haven't investigated enough to give a full opinion. But the bits I've heard, she's talked more sense than the rest of them put together. So I hope that answers your question. Are there still attempts to pull off some sort of revelations and bring in false gods for us to surrender power to, or is it completely off the table now? Yes and yes. They are trying to pull off their stupid false gods. As for us surrendering power to them, that is completely off the table. It won't happen. They can try, and boy, they've tried. The Nazi faction, as stated last week, tried to call in reinforcements, be it the Mantids and the Draco, to launch a planet-wide attack starting in the east. They quickly found out that they didn't get very far. So that's pretty much the end of that. Whereas some of the factions try to pull off their Project Bluebeam is debatable at this point. Given some of these meetings that are ongoing, it's going to be debatable whether they'll be able to carry off anything if they go the right way. So, who is the friggin' fat lady, and will she ever sing? Fat lady can be whoever you wish her to be, and she's singing very loud. What are your thoughts on anonymous Operation Black October on Facebook? No idea. I'm sorry about that. I've been rather busy with discussions and personal stuff this week. I haven't been made aware of that. Anonymous is you have to be careful with. There's that many of them now. There is a real anonymous, but there's also a mirror group, which are the negative agencies, and so you don't know which is which anymore. It's a bit like the white hat movement. Kind of lost track of who's who, former white hat, and you know, it just got taken over. So I would take, personally, this is my opinion, you're free to do whatever you want, I would ignore messages from an anonymous going forward until something is really valid and validated. You know, we had a lot of threats that they're going to do this, this and this, and yes, certain anonymous groups, not necessarily that particular group, just an anonymous group, has done some serious hacking that has brought down many people and exposed many people. But I don't carry much validity to the ones operating on the internet. Are Assange and Snowden dead? Any truth to this? Currently I'm not aware that they are. If we get anything, I will out it. But like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter. It'll be sad, absolutely, if that was the case. But the overall mission will go on regardless of whether those individuals are around. Yes, we would like them around on the information, but they're well protected, or the information is anyway, and it can't be interfered with. The situation in the Philippines is getting rather hot, with protesters being rammed by police vehicles and people being beaten up by the police. Sure you said the Philippines and not America? Meanwhile, back in Thailand, there seems to be a new colour war, this time between the people wearing black in respect to the king's death and those who do not, and or criticise the monarchy, which is illegal in Thailand. Any updates on both countries? They're two of the important arenas, those two countries, and it's all to do with the yellow metal again. The cabal, having found out that the Vatican has been emptied by the Pope and entourage, then went using the son of the king to then access the vaults in Thailand, and to find, whoops, it's all gone again. So they're now trying to use, perhaps, Mr. Duterte and his controversial statements to cover up what's going on in the Philippines, which is another attempt at stealing gold, to try and keep them afloat a few more days or weeks, not months anymore. They're in desperate straits. They've even tried to reclaim the BLM gold that has been removed from them. It failed. So you'll see a lot more going on in that country, those two countries. As for criticising the monarchy being illegal, in a civilised world, properly civilised world, we shouldn't need monarchy to be worshipped or idolised. in the manner some countries do. It's disempowering to the people. We are not ants where we need kings and queens. Nobody is better than anybody else on this planet. The sooner people stop elevating themselves with titles based on bloodlines and all kinds of other dodgy green beings, the better. Just ordinary people looking after each other. You know, the only time I would see it is if it's revamped. But those people shouldn't be wasted and living the life of luxury at the people's expense. So if they want to retain their title, because that's important to them, they'll have to give up some of their power and control, in my opinion. Be an example to the people. Not sit there on the balcony doing false waves, looking at people like they're all shit under the shoe. Yes, Elizabeth, that means you. So I would like to see an end to royal lines, personally, or at the very least, if we had to continue it for a few more generations, their whole system and how they operate revamped. Oh my God, this is every week now. I'll have to see if I can catch up with it. I'll get a sharp answer, and the answer will be no. Have you heard from Tanath? No, too busy. Patty Brassard's latest Facebook post is Red Kachina, the so-called destroyer, is now shut down, according to Patty, and locked down in place and no longer a threat. Well, it was no longer a threat a long time ago, but she wants to report it as now. Make no difference to me. When she was asked by whom, she replied, forces working with Gaia, tribes, clans and the Silver Legion. And that's all she would say on the issue. Further into the thread of her Facebook post, she cites Cabal are now in panic mode. Absolutely. They are staging B1s and B2s on Garcia, Diego Garcia, with holographics in the nose, using old light weapons. Well, they can stage what they like. It won't wash, and it won't work either. So they're pushing for the fake ET invasion, yes, as mentioned on this show 2 or 3 weeks ago, using blue beam tech. But what they wanted to do is start a fake one, but roll it into a real one. But that's been prevented. Do I have any further intel that this is a Cabal plan to start World War III? Yes, it was. As in, the past was. Thomas, give us the goods. Even innermost circles are talking about letting things roll out. What is supposed to be rolling out? It's almost like, sounds like the same old dirty laundry. Well, that's your opinion. Things are rolling out. You know, you follow the show each week, you'll find there's little bits coming to fruition, slowly but surely. And the reason for that is to keep everybody as safe as possible. Yes, I was talking to an American today who says, being an American, of course, I'm impatient. I want things done yesterday. I went, yeah, well, being me, I've got bags of patience. But everyone's patience is wearing thin. But you got to remember, like I've said in previous shows, this fun and games has been going on where they've had full control for the last 16,500 years. We've only been operating really in the last 5 to 10. And the strides that have been made has been extraordinary. So have a little bit more patience and perhaps a little bit more understanding of the people who are in harm's way, because that's the most important thing at this time. We all want it done, there's no question of that, but it has to be done in the right way and in the smooth way. The other alternative means we go to full out war and we end up with no infrastructure for 10 to 20 years and only 20% of the people left. So, you know, that's a choice. The person who asked the question, which one do you want? Thomas, is it possible that the Draco and the parents, which is now down to 2, just the twins left, did not expect that the Constitution, Bill of Rights and Declaration of Independence would be composed and have quite the benevolent impact upon the consciousness of the human being? That's not a correct statement. They control it, and so they were aware of what that was going to set up, and it was all an illusion. That's the reality. America's history was an illusion from day one. Whole heap of it. Declaration of Independence. How can you have independence when Britain's sending you tax tariffs on July the 19th, 1776? That's not independence. How can we have independence when we have bar lawyers running around robbing us blind? Clearly we never. Constitution, whilst drafted, was twisted. I would suggest that the new one will be upgraded for modernity. And yes, it will include the no bar. So that's what we're all looking for. And a complete, hopefully also another one, ending of all slavery, permanent. Not let's mask it further down the line. Permanent, where it becomes a treasonable offence and action enforced immediately. So that's a couple of things I'd like to see. But no, Draco and parents have been in control. They were in control when the Constitution, Bill of Rights and Independence, because their minions created it. Some of the forefathers were British Freemasons, not of interest to America. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. Can you explain how the DAPL pipeline moneyed interests can get away with what they're doing to the originals when there's an alleged peace treaty in place? Who is supposed to enforce this peace treaty and when? Well, meetings ongoing will determine who and when that takes place. Is it true that we're just able to reconnect or tap into all of our 12 strands of DNA? Most of this world nonsense would melt away. If so, can we ask the council how to proceed with the rising of our vibrations and reconnect our DNA to move forward, in essence doing the work ourselves? You do not need the council or anybody else to reconnect what is belonging to you. Only you do that. There's no saviours who's just going to switch the light back on. It's up to you to reconnect what belongs to you. DNA and all the other stuff is contained within the aura. Just pull it back in. Yes, there is certain tech that's preventing some of it. The more you pull back in and enforce it and lock it down by the shielding, then you change. As you change, you have the potential to change others, who then have potential to change others. So then it becomes almost like a Ponzi scheme, where 1 becomes 2, becomes 4, and so on. So you don't need councils to reconnect the DNA. Pull it all back in. Like the Akashic. You hear people saying, come and pay a couple of $100 to go to my conference and I'll tell you your Akashic. Also bullshittery. That's why when asked that question, I said, which Akashic? Given there's 24 races involved in this planet, there's 24 for the start. Then you can add SSP and other breakaway clan groups. And then you've got 7 billion people within Akashic. All the trees have the full Akashic, full memory. That's why certain people like to hug trees. They're accessing the Akashic. So the answers, as always, are within. Is there still an Archon network or something similar feeding our fear and anxiety? Yes, but it's diminishing. And the continuation of removing of them is ongoing. How would that then help our whole Earth situation? Well, it leaves us with a personal and collective responsibility. Can we act responsibly, both on a personal and collective level, sufficiently so that we do not need certain entities or other humans to control us? We would have a lot of work to do, because many in the Western world have given away their personal responsibility to false gods or governments or others. If everyone has their own personal responsibility and acts on it, this world will be a better place overnight. So then it's not looking to governments to fix everything. That's how we've ended up in this mess. Oh, we don't have to do that. The governments will fix it. Not if the government's rogue. There's probably 200 million plus in America who don't realise that this government is not acting on our behalf, even after all they've done. Regardless of whether you like Trump, Hitler or Obama or anybody else. Collectively, they've done nothing for the people. They're not there to do things for the people. That's why we have to learn very quickly to take personal responsibility. Do unto others as you expect people to act and do unto you. I can do rather than I want somebody else to do something. That's the way forward. But yes, the Archon issue is diminishing rapidly. Where are we next? Is the Earth going to split like a cell and form 2 Earths, one of higher dimension and some that will go to that Earth if of a higher frequency? It's possible. I don't know the definitive answer on that. There's a possibility that there's many, many Earths already in the multi-dimensionality of things. It's kind of speculative in many ways, but as I understand, there's there's many, many Earths in the multi-dimensions. So there is a split in the people. You know, I think most of us are starting to see that. I've warned in the past, it may involve your loved ones or your family or your close friends. But that's their sole choice. You can't pull them in because it's your husband or it's your wife or it's your mum or it's your dad. That soul is different from the vessel. And that's the kind of choices that have already been made. And some are starting to see the split between the two groups of people, the positives and the negatives. Can we expect to see planes spewing chemtrails disappear into thin air? Yes. I think largely that is becoming a diminishing issue. There will still be certain areas, for whatever reason, but it's drastically reduced from what it was. If certain meetings go in a certain direction, we may see an end to it within the next month. Will all the factions have to be removed in order for humanity to begin to move forward, or is that an unknown? I would like it to be removed, but we've said previously it's about rebuilding from the ground up, not necessarily from the top down. The top down will lead to violence. Some of the top down have already been removed, more than perhaps people realise, more than I realised anyway. So it's a case of you rebuild around them. If we build our own communities and take our own personal responsibility for things, why do we need them? If they don't have access to certain funds, their funds are going to diminish rapidly like it has. So eventually it's just a case of phasing them out. If certain companies come forward, non-cabal, there's plenty of people who want to get patents going on certain technology. What if they get protected by certain government entities? Nothing the cabal corporations can do then. So we then go and buy their products rather than the corporate products. Same as if we create organic farming right across the US and put in sufficient funds where it makes it cheaper or comparable to the GMO bullshit. Wouldn't everyone want to buy organic? That shuts the GMO down, doesn't it? So there's a couple of examples of how it's not nearly necessary that we have to go hunting gathering of all faction people. Many are coming to us rather than us going after them, because they realise the game's up. They realise that they've been lied to and cheated as much as we have. So once certain people have now found out that they've been paid in fake money, maybe they'll do the job for us. Wouldn't that be ironic? Where are we? 10:15. This is probably right. 2 more things and I'm going to end the show then. I have a number of awake friends who have been accumulating silver and gold bullion over the last few years. What's your view on fiat currencies and what kind of disruptions are coming? Fiat is going to go. When that happens, it will be a smooth transition, not drastic like they wanted, but it will go. No timeline on it, but we'll see what kind of disruptions. I would expect, as Drake had said previous, maybe a 3 to 14 day gap in the banks. I imagine we will get warning beforehand. It may be done over a bank holiday, maybe an extended bank holiday. It may also well be that there's a system in place that will just switch over at the flick of a switch. I'm not privy to that type of information, but who knows? So it may be end of one system Friday and a new system is up and running Monday. Smooth transition, that's what we're after. Is bullion a good hedge? Yes, it is. But I'm not going to tell you, like certain other people recently, the one who thinks I'm just putting sensationalist news out. He told people 2 months ago to go and buy a load of silver. It's gone down 25% since. So you can never tell which way they're going to cheat the market until the market settles down. It's always nice to have something and a mixture if you can afford it. A little bit of gold, a little bit of silver, a little bit of a different currency. Always helps. You always be cashed in at a later date. It's not always about making exorbitant amounts like the dinar bullshit. It's just, if things crash, if one thing crashes, then you've got some security in more than one way. So if you choose to buy it, that's entirely up to you. But I'm not a financial expert, but it's kind of dodgy if people are telling people to go and buy it, and then suddenly it's going to go up through the roof, and you find you've lost 25% of your money inside of a month. And this is why it's always difficult for the people on the internet. You know, those people who mention that, Jim Willie's being one of them. You know, they have a lot of good knowledge based on the internet available finances. But the problem is then they've got no idea of what goes on behind the scenes, because that's where most of the markets are, if not all. So, you know, they have a good understanding once it goes to the public view, but they, unless they've got access to certain people, fortunately I have, you've got no idea of how the markets are going, because they just change it in split second, depending on what fun and games they want to play on any particular day. Alright, starts off with a statement and ends with a question. Please be careful, there are people working hard to lay a new fraud on top of the old fraud. Somebody's promoting the New Republic, not me, not yet. When there is proper news on that, we will announce it. The Republic that's being pushed forward on the internet by certain Asian factions is not the Republic of America, it's Republic of China. So in other words, they weren't going to take over along with some French-based, foreign-owned, unconstitutional entity, a bit like Britain. So I hope you enjoyed the show. It's quite a bit got into tonight. There's a fair bit to encourage you all. You know, it's we live in difficult times, but we're in a window of potential exciting times. Some of you got that fed up. You think as long as something happens. Well, I understand that, but that something has to be positive rather than negative. We've had enough negative in our lifetime, enough suffering, enough poverty. It's time for a proper change. That requires patience. It's required lots and lots of patience. But in essence, in the time scale, it's been extraordinary what's taken place. What is taking place now, as we speak, is world-altering negotiations and meetings. You just may get certain coloured lights that another famous person was asking for a few years. Not the person who conforms to what others want them to be. You are a multi-dimensional being operating simultaneously on many levels. You are not here to conform, you are not here to be stifled, you are not here to be enslaved, and you are not here to be abused. You are neither here to compete with your friends, family, or neighbours. No comparative minds, please. You are here to be the best you can be and do so as the crown of creation. Now go out with the confidence of who and what you are and excel in yourself, and in doing so inspire others. My name's Thomas Williams. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show, and I hope you gathered what was taking place. It is extraordinary. Stay safe, stay prepared, and never let anyone put you in any fear. And I'm going to play this one again. Bye for now.